I thought I'd share with you some information about a woman by the name of Cassandra Southwick. I came upon this name while reading the Annals of Witchcraft in New England by Samuel G. Drake. A lot of interesting stuff in here. You're going to enjoy this. There's a poem written about her. It's not exactly, it takes a lot of liberties with her experiences, but let me give you some of the background. Actually, let me read the poem first, and then I'll give you the background of Cassandra Southwick, 1658. The poem, by the way, is by Whittier. Last night I saw the sunset melt through my prison bars. Last night across my damp earth floor fell the pale gleam of the stars. In the coldness and the darkness all through the long night time, my grated casement whited with autumn's early rime. All night I sat unsleeping, for I knew that on the morrow the ruler and the cruel priest would mock me in my sorrow. Dragged to their place of market and bargained for and sold, like a lamb before the shambles, like a heifer from the fold. Oh, the weakness of the flesh was there, the shrinking and the shame, and the low voice of the tempter like whispers to me came. Why sittest thou thus forlornly, the wicked murmur said, damp walls thy bower of beauty, cold earth thy maiden bed? And what a fate await thee, a sadly tolling slave, dragging the slowly lengthening chain of bondage to the grave? I wrestled down the evil thoughts and strove in silent prayer to feel, O helper of the weak, that thou indeed were there. At length the heavy bolts fell back, my door was open cast, and slowly at the sheriff's side up the long street I passed. I heard the murmur round me, and felt but dared not see, how from every door and window the people gazed on me. We paused at length, where at my feet the sunlit waters broke, on glaring reach of shining beach and shining wall or rock. The merchant ships lay idly there in hard clear lines on high, tracing with rope and cinder spar their network on the sky. Then to the stout sea captains the sheriff turning said, Which of ye worthy seamen will take this Quaker maid? In the isles of fair Barbados or on Virginia's shore, you may sell her at a higher price than Indian girl or Moor. Grim and silent stood the captains, and when again he cried, Speak out, my worthy seamen, no voice, no sign replied. But I felt a hard hand press my own, and kind words met my ear. God bless thee and preserve thee, my gentle girl and dear. A weight seemed lifted from my heart, a pitying friend was nigh. I felt it in his hard, rough hand, and saw it in his eye. And when again the sheriff spoke, that voice so kind to me, growled back its stormy answer like the roaring of the sea. Pile my ship with bars of silver, pack with coins of Spanish gold, from keelpiece up to deck plank the roomage of her hold. By the living God who made me, I would sooner in your bay sink ship and crew and cargo than bear this child away. Well answered, worthy captain, shame on their cruel laws, ran through the crowd in murmurs loud the people's just applause. Like the herdsmen of Tekoa in Israel of old, shall we see the poor and righteous again for silver sold? I looked on Governor Endicott with weapon halfway drawn, swept round the throng his lion glare of bitter hate and scorn. Fiercely he drew his bridle rein and turned in silence back, and sneering priest and baffled clerk rode murmuring in his track. Hard after them the sheriff looked in bitterness of soul, thrice smote his staff upon the ground and crushed his parchment roll. Good friends, he said, since both have fled, the ruler and the priest, judge ye if from their further work I be not well released. Loud was the cheer which full and clear swept round the silent bay, as with kind words and kinder looks he bade me go my way. For God who turns the courses of the streamlet of the glen, and the river of great waters had turned the hearts of men. Thanksgiving to the Lord of life, to God all praises be, who from the hands of evil men hath set his handmaid free. All praise to God, before whose power the mighty are afraid, who take the crafty in the snare, which for the poor is laid. That's by Whittier. The name of the poem is Cassandra Southwick. It's loosely based on real events. These are the real events. Cassandra Burnell Southwick, 1600 to 1660, was an early immigrant to the American colonies and a devout Quaker, who was persecuted for her beliefs. Cassandra Burnell was the daughter of Humphrey and Margaret Burnell. She was born in Kingswinford, Staffordshire, England. She married Lawrence Southwick on 25th January 1623 or 4 in Kingswinford. They migrated to America around 1637 to 1639 with 4 of their 6 children. They settled in Salem, Massachusetts. They were continually persecuted by the Puritans, and eventually escaped to Shelter Island, New York. In 1657, the Southwicks were put in jail for hosting 2 visiting Quaker preachers, John Copeland and Christopher Holder. Lawrence Southwick was found to be a member of the First Church of Salem and was released to be dealt with by the leaders of that church. Cassandra remained in jail for 7 weeks and was fined 40 shillings for possessing a paper written by their 2 visitors. The paper was considered to be heretical by Governor John Endicott and others. In 1658, the Southwicks and their son Josiah were put in jail for 20 weeks for being Quakers. In 1659, 2 of the Southwick children, a daughter named Provided and a son named Daniel, were sentenced to be sold as slaves in the Barbados for unpaid fines related to their being Quakers. The sentence was not carried out, however. The entire family went to Shelter Island, New York, together. The story of the Southwick children is told dramatically, though not completely accurately, in a poem by John Greenleaf Whittier entitled Cassandra Southwick. He used the mother's name in place of the daughter's and did not mention the son at all. Nevertheless, his poem preserves for posterity a bit of the history of persecution by the Puritans in Massachusetts. In 1660, Lawrence and his wife Cassandra died within 3 days of each other on Shelter Island. They have thousands of living descendants in the United States today. Among their descendants are Richard Nixon and Winston Churchill. These are people that the Puritans considered evil just because they believed differently. And you see, obviously Richard Nixon is not the best, but Winston Churchill, would England have survived without him?